Biggest problem I see is that the compensation scheme is going away in April next year, in April 2025. And from my understanding, I could see the energy minister talking on the TV, and he was white when he acknowledged that price is going to at least double, at least maybe triple.
Yeah, he's a responsible minister, and he has been trying to talk about the bad things, or to be prepared for the bad things to happen. Nobody knows.
Let's make it simple.
How do we make it simple? A simple plan.
So the simple plan is like that. We have billions, we stay on billions, non-refundable money. Let's allocate the billions that we have to make the networks better, to make the networks ready to install more renewable, to have more prosumers.
Okay.
If we use non-refundable money, it means that there is no impact on the tariffs paid by
everyone,
and then let's create a better environment where the investors can connect their new investments in power generation, and then we will have more generation, and we will have more competition, then
in a secure way,
and we have better prices.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the studio, where our guest today, I'm going to be talking in English also for the Romanian audience, because we have a very important guest and we'll be talking in English about energy. Maybe you can recognize first RânZVAN NICOLESCU. He's been here before, been talking a lot about renewables and how nuclear it's a cool thing, but most probably will not be in a previous episode. But our special guest today is SEBASTIAN Kind. Romanian by genetics?
Funny,
or funny?
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Argentine by citizenship.
Exactly. Well, Romanian by citizenship as well.
Also?
Yes, my grandfather was Romanian.
Okay.
I'm Argentinian. I mean, I was born in Argentina and lived most of my life there.
Okay.
But my grandfather was the Romanian that came to Argentina and started the family he came in the 20s.
Okay.
Within the wars.
It must be a cool story. We should go a little bit through it. But just to tease the conversation a little bit, we'll be talking about billions of dollars into renewables and energy, and how we can fix the mess that is called the Romanian energy systems, maybe. RânZVAN? A little bit?
It depends.
He's more optimistic than me, but I'm seeing small blackouts almost every day now, here and there.
It depends, how you see.
Okay, so let's go first to Sebastian. So, Sebastian, thank you for coming here.
Thanks for inviting me.
For taking the time. You're a very important person in Argentina.
I'm not.
Really?
I'm just a very important person in my family, perhaps, yes, with my kids, of course.
But in the energy system, you're much more important than Javier Milei, for example.
Well, he's a president, and he was not, of course. It's completely different. But interesting to talk about energy. Yes, that's my passion.
Okay. Are you still in Argentina these days? Are you still working there, or are you just expanding globally?
No. We expanded globally. I mean, we have a lot of people in RELP, in the organization that I founded when I left the government in 2019 at the end.
Okay.
And I created a non-profit organization with the aim of supporting governments around the global south, around the emerging markets and developing economies, to implement renewables at scale in a similar way to what we have done in Argentina, but in a structured global way. So we have operations in Southeast Asia, in Africa, in Latin America. Myself, with the family, we decided to move to more central place, and so we are living in Europe. We are living in Spain since last year.
Maybe you can bring you back to Bucharest, to Romania.
To Bucharest, yeah, that would be.
I hear it's a safe place.
I hear the same.
I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about your Romanian legacy? Because that would make it a little more comfortable for my viewers.
Okay, perfect.
To understand where you're coming from. Who are you?
Okay, Sebastian. My grandfather was with the same surname I have, was the one that came in the 20s when he was not a kid anymore, I think almost.
1920s.
1923 to be precise, if I'm not wrong. He came to Argentina with a family. At that time, within the two wars, the First and the Second World War, The family was Jewish family, and they experienced a lot of problems here in the east side of Europe. So from both sides, from my grandmother's side, she came from Poland and escaping from the Nazis and escaping from all the things in Poland. And from my grandfather's side, before the Second World War, quite before, in the 23, they were experiencing bad moments, so they decided to go to a flourished country. And Argentina was perhaps the seventh economy in the world at the time.
Where were they living at that time? It's
in Ruskova. Here in Romania, in Ruskova, in the north, close to the Carpathos, close to the Ukrainian border.
Okay, because not many people know and understand this. We had a very, very strong Jewish community up in the north at that time.
Exactly, very, very. And I would say not only Romania, but also what today is Moldova and Bessarabia at the time. Ukraine, of course, as well, and Poland as well. So the Jewish community in the east was super important. And they were experiencing a lot of pogroms. Since the last part of the last century, I would say.
Okay.
So even 20 or 30 years after, still with a lot of problems, even up to the Second World War, where the Jewish were persecuted. So they decided to put themselves in a ship and go to a better place. At that time, there were basically two places where to go. Either the States or Argentina, two flourished countries, both very powerful. Argentina was the 6th, 7th economy in the world at the time. So, and it was an empty country with a beautiful weather, with, a paradise compared to what they were experiencing here in Eastern Europe. So that was the beginning of the family. The family was built together by the union of a Polish girl and a Romanian man. And here I am. My father was born in that context.
Okay.
And I was born in Argentina and my whole life in Argentina. But because of my grandfather, I'm Romanian and I have the citizenship, and I'm very proud about that.
I'm just curious, how was that, like 100 years ago, going to Argentina from Romania? How was that trip?
Imagine how was that trip. Imagine how was the language that you didn't manage at all, because they were not even speaking Romanian much. They were speaking Yiddish.
It was a very tight community. And again, not many people understand how different these communities were and how many different ethnicities we used to have. It was a flourishing landscape here. We had also Italians, Greeks, Tatars, everything. Everyone was welcome, up to the pogroms.
Imagine what it meant for them to find a beautiful country just surrounded by the beauty. Nobody was there, was empty. I mean, Argentina is big as Europe, as Western Europe. It's 90% of Europe 15 in terms of surface. Today, not in the 20s, but today we only have 45 million inhabitants. So the country is empty, a super calm country, no wars, really far away from all the problems that Europe was and is facing, even today, close nearby here as well. So you can imagine for these families what that means to be really in a paradise. They found it like that.
So you grew up in such a family, in a new place, in a new country, in a paradise, but an empty paradise, let's say.
Yeah, everything was to be done there.
Everything was to be done.
So huge opportunities for entrepreneurs and huge opportunities for everybody that want to do things, that really want to work.
So a land of opportunities, but also of struggles, because Argentina, like Romania, is blessed with a lot of natural resources, but also faced economic hardship.
That's the Latin heritage, perhaps, no? Yes, of course. I mean, imagine that.
Can you say at the top of your head how many defaults had Argentina going through?
But I remember the wars, which was the 2001, and I was not really a kid. I'm 45 years old, so it was 20-something, and it was really bad. It was really, really, really bad. I was in the heart of that in Buenos Aires, where I was born and lived my whole life. And believe me, it's a situation you don't want to go through.
So again, hardship. We went through the revolution. We have same opportunities, same hardships. Argentina and Romania are a bit similar in some ways.
Quite similar, I would say. Quite similar.
Quite similar.
Quite similar also for the kind of culture and the way the people live the things with more passion, with more. It's a Latin culture. I mean, it's a Latin country.
We are better in soccer.
You are not. Of course, we wish. You wish to be. Absolutely.
But again, RânZVAN insisted on having you here because of your experience in energy, and you've done a few important things about this because energy, I think, is the supreme wealth of any country. Am I wrong?
You're not. I mean, I think it's the most important and is the main reason behind the default and the crisis in Argentina.
Really?
And this is something that people that are not into the energy sector needs to understand why happened what it happened. Energy is the answer.
So when a country defaults, when a country crashes, it's because of energy most of the time.
Trade balance. I mean, the balance in the imports and exports. I mean, Argentina at the time was importing $12 billion. Imagine even after that, but in 2011, 2012, so after the crisis and just before perhaps the following crisis, Argentina was importing $12 billion in energy, although the country has the second largest shale gas reserve in the world. Mm-hmm. So imagine the amount of resources that we do have. And in that context, we were importing.
Even more than the US and Canada?
No, it's more than Canada, yes. It's the second, Argentina.
Wow.
Because Canada doesn't have the shale gas, it has tight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Argentina has a monster bubble underneath. That is Vaca Muerta Reservoir, and that's the second shale gas reserve in the world, and is the fourth largest shale oil reserve in the world.
Okay.
And in that context, the country was and is importing fossil fuels. I say, how is that possible?
How is that possible?
Let's talk about what it means to bring dollars up for long-term infrastructure in a complex investment environment. That's the reason.
I don't understand what you're saying.
When you are,
you need to explain.
Let's put it in simple words. When you have a market, when you have a place where to invest something, and you need to do it for the long term, 20 years, let's say, what happens if you want to build a highway for just 1 car an hour? How much might cost the toll? A lot of money.
Yes.
It's not possible.
Unsustainable.
Exactly. So instead of that, you build a highway for the long term. You say, okay, I will put the infrastructure for 20 years for thousands and thousands of cars per hour. So the toll is small. The more you can put in the long term and the more cars you allow to go through, the less you have to pay to recover the investment that someone has done. This is infrastructure, and energy is infrastructure as well. If you want to develop what you have in terms of energy, we can talk about fossil fuels or we can talk about renewables, which is our thing. You need to put a lot of money in the long term, not for 1 year. Because if you want to put everything in 1 year, the unit of energy has to be paid accordingly to the payback, to the period in which you need to receive the money back of the infrastructure.
Of course.
Similar to the highway. Example.
Energy is not a given.
Energy is something that has to be built with capital/effort of someone and has to be really well designed in the sense of a capital structure has to be put for the people that will pay ultimately that energy.
So it's a very boring topic that ultimately impacts us all.
Exactly. It's something that is everywhere in our life. Not because we turn on the light and not because only that, because of the fact that for a country, it is huge the possibility that it has to really become and convert the entire economy, which is driven by mostly the energy
of course
thing.
everything needs energy. Everything. So we've been talking about this. With the RânZVAN, we've been covering these topics a lot here, trying to understand where we get our energy. And we have a very interesting energy mix in Romania. We can get energy from almost everything. We have all kind of energy here. We have hydro, wind, solar, oil, gas, everything. We got nuclear.
It's a privilege.
You might say, because we've been talking in the past year about potential blackouts, and we see grids being under strain, and we are not even up there where we should be in terms of electricity consumption. Romanians are consuming very little electricity. Is that right? Compared to European citizens or
US.
Americans?
Yeah, of course.
Many.
And this is bad?
I think so, yes. Every time you put in more energy into someone's life, they move more, they do more things, they have more comfort, more safety.
Up to a certain point.
Up to a certain point, of course.
Because beyond that point, you are not playing the efficient game.
Exactly. If I look at your car, and if you look at the car of an ordinary American citizen, I see big differences.
Okay.
You have a very efficient car. Yeah, you have an electrical vehicle. The Americans have very big cars with a very high consumption. So, yeah, if electricity consumption is an indicator of the development, yes, it's true what you have said. But if it is the outcome of lack of efficiency, that's not good.
Of course, but I could say the same about Romanians heating their homes with natural gas or wood in many, many places because they don't have heat pumps or electrical heating. They go by gas. Okay, where it is. Gas is a good way of heating. It's pretty efficient, but many people use wood.
They use wood with a very low efficiency.
Exactly.
So we can have a better heating system.
Yes.
Yeah, more efficient heating system, so less consumption.
Of course.
But with a much better quality. So
exactly.
The transformation has to improve the efficiency and has to improve the quality.
So whenever I say electricity, I think about better quality of life for everyone involved. Because if you move from heating your house with a stove, putting wood on the fire, going to electrical, you take out fumes, you take out ash, you take out health problems, dirt, everything. Again, with a car, like you say, I go from a car with a big diesel engine to an electric car. It's more efficient, but it's also more comfortable. It's safer and everything in between.
The future of energy will be electrical and the future of electricity will be renewable. That's for sure. And it's aligned with what you say. Yes. But the problem behind this, that perhaps this is the most difficult thing to understand, is that though we know that there is a better quality, that there is a better thing to have in hands, not always can access to that. And
Exactly.
in terms of a country, Romania, Argentina, the US, whoever, in terms of a country, the magic touch is how can a country interest investment for the long term to build the needed infrastructure for the benefits of what we are saying. And this is not the same everywhere in the world. And these are the I would say the problems that most of the world suffer about, that the possibility they do not have to build long-term infrastructure.
Okay.
If you are giving money to a friend that is asking you, can you give me $2 because I ran out of, okay, you give $2 and say, okay, the money has to be back in a month. Perfect. In a month, your friend says, sorry, I don't have the money to give you back, but I need another 2.
And I'll give you 5 in another month or so.
Okay. Until you say, it's not okay anymore. I will stop giving you this until you really recover yourself and, give what you have to.
Of course.
Back, which is what I gave you. So you don't have the money by yourself and nobody want to invest in you.
Okay.
And if nobody want to invest in you and you need technology to create the benefit that we were talking about before, and you can afford that. So you keep on burning wood, which is what you can afford.
Go.
And you see how interesting it is, because he has been traveling around the world, meeting and supporting many countries in their energy transition. And what he's saying is that it is a competition to attract money. Here we have a different problem. We stay on a bunch of money, in the energy sector. We stay on about 20 billion euro according to my latest calculation. And we are not able to spend the money. And the majority of the money are EU funds, so non-refundable money. So we are in an amazing situation. It's up to us to achieve an efficient and a smart transition as fast as possible, to build the infrastructure that he was mentioning, because we have something that many others don't have, meaning we have money.
And a stable place. Basically, money is everywhere. The point is how to attract that money for the long term, to build long-term infrastructure, to build long-term things. If you don't build the long-term infrastructure in the long run, and you put it in the short term, this is very expensive. Renewables are super expensive. No, are not expensive. At the point, of course, you can assume that you will deploy your wind farm for the people to pay everything in 1 year, while the asset is 20 years or 25 years alive.
I totally agree. I would like to go back to Argentina, where, again, you said that Argentina is sitting on a big
bubble
of gas, but you still invested heavily in renewables.
Yes.
Why?
It was a decision because we understood that, as you said about Romania, it's not good to rely only in one source. In terms of technical stuff, it's good to diversify. And also, it's not only that Argentina has a gigantic amount of gas and oil, but also of renewables. It's perhaps one of the most important countries in the world in terms of the capacity factor for wind farms, which is a measure of how wind we have for the audience. And in terms of radiation as well, among the best radiation solar resource in the world. But for decades, the country was not able to develop the potential of renewables because nobody wanted to invest in a complex investment place as Argentina is for the long run. And why? Imagine that a 20 years asset, a 20 years wind farm, a 20 years contract that you can find that you may have means 5 administrations in most of Western Hemisphere democracies. In Argentina as well, 4 years term, 5. So it's not that you don't know who's going to come, let's say the States. It's not that you don't know who's going to come after Biden. We don't know who's going to come after the one after the one after the one after, 5 times. In a country that is within Europe is one thing. In a country that is the US or Australia or Japan or Canada or is another thing, is one thing. And in a country that is used to change the rules even within the same administration, is a completely different thing.
Yes, but still, I don't think you would like something like Hungary, Turkey, or Russia, or China in terms of administration.
Of course, look, what you need for long-term investment, not only renewable energy, which is our topic and our passion, but not only for that, for highways, for hospitals, for everything, for long-term infrastructure, what you need is a market that can either you feel comfortable with a market that you know they're not going to change the rules over the time, so you can structure your money for the long run.
It's a cultural issue, and it's about society, and it's about media, and it's about key opinion leaders. So it's not only about the decision makers.
Absolutely.
So it's about
it's
the
an ecosystem.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So how did you manage in a country that, if it's a Latin country, if I know anything about how people think in poor Latin countries, we have some gas, let's burn it and make some money out of it as soon as possible. We're going to do those renewables, but it's something for the future. We don't need it now. We need money today.
Interesting. What we've done is because either you need or a stable country, which is not, or someone that can guarantee that no matter the assets are the wind farms or the power plants are in a complex market that may change the rules, someone guarantees that no matter that is the situation, they pay. So what we built is we brought innovation, financial innovation in the sense of a guarantee system to backstop the obligations of the off-taker, of the payer, of the country, telling the investment around the world, the investors, come to complex Argentina. You know how complex it is. Come to complex Argentina, put your millions to your billions in the soil of Argentina. If something happened along the 20 years, along the 5 administrations, your investment is secure, internationally shielded.
How can you do that?
By building guarantees to backstop the obligations of the off-taker, the payer, the country.
How can you actually do that? Because I've heard countries that go ahead and nationalize when they feel like it, or they stop paying, or they
covering you. Perfect. You have money in your pocket. You need to put. I'm asking you as a country to come to the country in a competitive way, in a clean and transparent procedure, etc. Put the money in Argentina. Nobody will touch it. And if someone touch it, you will receive your money in Europe or in the States in hard currency. And this was secure with a 3-step system that we created on purpose, which is a 3-step guarantee. It's a nested guaranteed system in cascade as a waterfall to protect the investment in the worst case scenario in every single step of the value chain.
Who's putting up those guarantees?
It was built by the government, by my team, myself. The first one was a liquidity facility that we created. I don't want to be very technical, although a
liquidity facility, we hear that is something that you put some money somewhere.
Upfront.
Yeah. Upfront.
You put money upfront in a fund that works as a loan to cover whatever kind of delay you experience in the payment. So you need to receive your payment out of the energy that you deliver in the wires. Let's say the first day every month. For whatever the reason, the payer is not able to pay, either because they don't want, either because they don't have the money, whatever the reason. You receive the payment from the fund, like that acts as a buffer to cover the payer.
And who's putting money into the buffer?
In the case of Argentina, the government of Argentina put in advance that money and show the world and the investment and the investors around the world, listen, you have this fund already constituted.
Okay, so
it was the central bank, and then it was the World Bank.
Exactly, and then it was the sovereign government in the second step, telling the investors, listen, if this fund is exhausted and you experience a problem along the 20 years, no matter when, the government will pay you, the central bank, not the off-taker or the... No. The central government, the central bank, the sovereign funds will cover you. Okay. And if the country is in a default, we brought a AAA guarantee from abroad. So we signed $750 million with the World Bank to backstop the obligations of the sovereign government that backstop the obligations of the off-taker. So if you have a problem, the World Bank pays you in New York dollars.
This was a big achievement of
How do you convince the World Bank to put 15 billion for
by telling that by not putting a coin, because this is a commitment, it's a contingent liability. They hadn't put a coin in this program.
Okay.
Just they signed a paper saying if Argentina fails, and if Argentina fails is because the off-taker fails, and if the off-taker is a chain of responsibilities. But if everything fails, I pay you, and I have an indemnity agreement on the side with the government of Argentina in terms of debt, which is what the IMF has even today.
Okay, but what if you get up to the point where the World Bank needs to pay up? How does the World Bank goes after its money?
There is a guarantee that they pay, and they compute a new debt with the country, as most of the emerging markets have with IMF and the World Bank.
Okay.
Listen, because of this and not putting a coin, the country attracted in both programs, the Renovar, which was the national purchases in the way I described, and the corporate scheme, over $11 billion in only a couple of years. Argentina is reaching a peak coverage over 30% of the whole electricity sector in the country, in the mix, starting from almost zero. The country is saving over $2 billion per year in fossil fuel imports because of the renewable energy sector.
So that's why the oil is dropping on the market. Just the other day, it went below 70. So it's Argentina and China buying less oil.
It's tiny compared to China. $2 billion a year, 20 years, the life of the assets is $40 billion, is similar to the external debt, the entire external debt that the country has with the IMF, which is the largest in the world, is half of the entire IMF portfolio in the world. So this is the power.
So you're going to make $40 billion savings worth of energy out of a $11 billion investment.
Out of just a pledge or a commitment, not put in a coin, of an international organization that says, okay, we support this program.
So transfer of credibility.
Exactly.
So I'm looking at this.
Well allocating the responsibilities.
So
right?
you borrow 11, you make the energy, you pay it back, and you get a lot of profit.
We didn't borrow anything. It's a private sector investment.
So you make
it's even better. The beauty of this is that the government is not the owner of anything.
It's benefiting because they make some investments, they build roads, they create jobs, so they benefit. The government benefits even from the moment or even before the completion of the investment.
So
Argentina became the third global market for Vestas, the larger wind turbine manufacturer in the world. Just because of this. You can imagine what that means.
I can imagine Argentina becoming a net exporter of energy.
Now what we need, the more you put in terms of renewables, the more you can free up in terms of gas as well. But we do not have the infrastructure to export the resources we have. So what do you need for building the infrastructure? Billions of dollars and credibility for the investment. For the long term, the same.
I've read that you've also been working with the Caribbean countries. So are you thinking of exporting energy there, or?
Well, the Caribbean countries is very, very interesting because they are, they are islands.
Islands, yes.
So they are not interconnected each other. So the challenge is really, really important. What is going on today in the Caribbean and also in the different regions is that there is a huge opportunity for BESS, for battery energy storage, to free up space for new renewables to come. When you put renewables in an isolated grid, you reach a limit.
Of course.
Depends on the topology of the grid. There's no rule that can say you reach X limit. No, it depends the market.
Of course.
But once the limit is reached or almost, you need to expand the grid. And you can install batteries to allow new renewable capacity to come.
We're becoming very technical. I want to come back to Romania and make people understand that it's almost a no-brainer. One of the things that struck me in our interview when I talked to RânZVAN was how interesting nuclear was, because it's energy that's always there. We call it unbundled.
They also have nuclear.
We have nuclear as well.
And they are, by the way, they are the country, according to my information, that managed to
reach uranium.
And they have the same reactor as our reactor, and they managed to complete successful refurbishment of the nuclear power plants.
That was interesting in the context of the nuclear sector in Argentina that has 80 plus years of life, that renewables became we installed 3 times the capacity of the nuclear, which is a industry for dozens and dozens of years, only in 2 years.
So making a new nuclear plant is very, very hard to do. We're not managing to finish the reactors 3 and 4. But now, again, from the investment only of the Romanian prosumers and the incentives that we got, now we are on par in terms of, let's say, capacity. Installed capacity, not net capacity, but peak capacity, let's say. So from my understanding, it's 1,800 megawatts in prosumer capacity. So similar to Cernavoda. But there's a problem with renewables, and we've been talking about this. It's nice to have nuclear. It's very hard to do. It's cheap once you start it, but it's very expensive to get it started.
Which is not cheap.
Of course.
So let's put everything in, right? I mean,
exactly.
And the commissioning.
Exactly.
Somebody
has to pay the things. It's not for free.
So the big problem we have is that big problem. The big problem also in the opportunity. The opportunity is that the sun shines every day. It doesn't send any bills at the end of the month. One of the most important utilities in the world, the most important that doesn't send any bills. The wind also. I haven't heard the winds saying I need you to pay, but they're not constant. So they're not, like we say, în bandă.
But with the batteries, they could be constant.
And I was reading just the other day some new figures that show prices for renewables, because renewable energy is everywhere. The cost is to capture it. So how do you take the sun and make it
transform it, right?
To transform it. Yeah. The cost to transform energy has plummeted. So in terms of solar, from day one up to today, the cost has dropped 99%.
Yeah.
99.
Yeah.
For you to I made recently a calculation from for a client operating in India. So it's more efficient to install PV plus batteries than to build a gas power plant or a coal power plant. So the problems mentioned by you with the volatility in terms of production can be covered today by the technological developments and could be financial efficient.
Could be or are, because you're the economics whiz. So you tell us, from our conversation up to today, there's been news again. Price for PVs is going down. Mm-hmm. It's under 11 cents per watt now.
Amazing.
There's moments when there is 6 or 7. Crazy. Mm-hmm. Also, batteries have gone down a lot. And I'm hearing that the largest lithium exporter in the world, Australia, is seeing overcapacity. That means they do not have enough clients for how much lithium they have to sell.
That's the reason why the lithium carbonate also went down from $85,000 a ton to less than 10 today. So
I'm hearing that these people in Australia that are heavily robotized, mechanized, and they extract lithium, they say, we don't have enough customers. We might have to lay off some people. There's lithium there, no customers over here.
Listen, there is a revolution in terms of battery and in terms of how to tackle the main problem of renewables. There's no discussion about the benefit of the renewable energy in terms of the cost, in terms of the modularity, so the way you can install, the easiness of the installments. You can plug and play almost solar yes. in your roof very easily. You don't need really a nuclear thing. It's completely different story, but it's variable. So we need something to really tackle the variability, to really make it happen everywhere in a massive way. And this is the place for batteries. And when I say batteries, today we are talking about lithium batteries. But this will not be the chemistry in X years.
What do you know about this? What can you tell us? Because whenever I talk about renewables and batteries and whatnot, people are saying, no, we are waiting for the next best thing.
No, we are not waiting for nothing. What I'm saying is that we do have it already in our hands. Imagine what might happen.
People on the sidelines say, come on, this is still expensive. I want it cheaper. I want it better. I want a car that goes 1,000 kilometers.
Perfect. First, it's not expensive anymore.
It went down.
In comparison to what you were doing, if you can structure long-term, back to what we said before. So, okay, it's very expensive in Southern Africa, where you only can put money for 1 year. You sit down, you have $200 million in your pocket. There is a president of a country that wanna create an opportunity for the energy sector. You sit down with the president and you say, okay, I will put $200 million out of my pocket here in your soil. Tell me that nobody will touch my investment in the bad sense, that nobody will do anything different to what I'm writing in the contract. Yeah, no problem. But this is one person in one government
And
out of the 5 administrations that you have to...
Exactly.
So your decision is okay, but I don't believe that nobody along the way will touch it. So instead of putting a tariff low, as lower as I can, as lowest as I can, to structure this for the long term, I need to receive my payback in 1 year because I don't trust this guy and I don't trust who.
That's the problem with small countries and emerging economies.
Emerging markets, not only small, even big ones.
Even Romania.
Well, Romania is in Europe. Is in the context of a different thing, I would say. Okay, within Europe, it's not Germany, it's not France, it's not the UK. Well, Europe with Brexit, but anyway, it's not the powerful ones. But it's not what we face in Southeast Asia, in Africa, in Latin America.
Still, we can prove to anyone who's interested that if you build your own house today, it's cheaper long term to also have PVs and batteries. And I've proven that. I live in a house like this. I offsetted the investment in the first 4 or 5 years. If you use an electric car, that's for granted. So you make up your money pretty soon, and the next 10 years you're going to be profitable from that mix. Most people say, look, I don't have enough money to put PVs, batteries, and get an electric car to live the electric lifestyle. That's expensive. Mm-hmm. So that's individual. Not many people afford to do that individually. How can we make this work for as many as possible?
In a financial system, you don't need to have your own money. In a financial system that really works, you don't need to own your own, the money needed to invest in this. Okay. You can get cheap loans, long-term, 30 years mortgages or 30 years things. But this is not everywhere. This is in Europe. This is in the States. This is not going to happen. This is not happening in more than 50, 60% of the world. So you know what's going to happen in Africa is doubling the population by 2050, 2055. Okay. What are you going to do if you don't have anything to feed your kids? You're going to do whatever.
Of course. But there's also a conversation about water. They don't have enough water in many places already. So whenever you don't have
the future
water,
is clear.
Electricity, you have a problem.
You have a problem. Of course you have a problem. And we're talking about a problem which is a climate thing as well.
Yes.
In the only house we have everywhere, not the European. The Europeans don't have it's not that we don't have a house here. No. It's the only one we have.
Of course, but I quit talking the ideological and the sustainability thing because most people think about today and the day after today, not the day after tomorrow. The day after tomorrow, of course, sustainability, electricity, all that. But today I'm going to buy my diesel and I want to have a safe diesel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to RânZVAN because you've been telling us that we have enough money to do that. We have enough natural renewable resources, but still we don't have enough energy. We need to import a lot and this is driving prices up. And the biggest problem I see is that the compensation scheme is going away in April next year, in April 2025. And from my understanding, I could see the energy minister talking on the TV, and he was white when he acknowledged that price is going to at least double, at least maybe triple.
Yeah, he's a responsible minister, and he has been trying to talk about the bad things or to be prepared for the bad things to happen. Nobody knows. In a free market economy, you don't know how the prices is going to...
I'm looking at the market. I'm looking at the market for energy, and the prices are higher than what we see in our bills.
We are in a difficult context.
Tell me.
It is a regional context. It is an European context. For example, look what has been happening in the Ukraine. They used to be a net electricity exporter. Now, due to the crazy things happening there, due to the crazy Putin's war, an important part of their electricity infrastructure is destroyed. So they need to buy more than they used to sell. They used to sell, now they have to buy. This is one context. Second, at the European level, there were many countries relying big time on gas, coming from Russia.
Okay.
Now they have to go and to buy natural gas coming from somewhere else, from Qatar, from Australia, from
or the US.
LNG from
LNG.
South,
It's
from
commodity,
United States.
so-
But
There's trains of ships going across the oceans with LNG.
yeah.
so there is an impact, yeah. In Europe, if we compare Europe, for example, with the United States, in Europe we have taxes put on energy, yeah. We don't have much taxes in the United States. We have in Europe windfall taxes. Yeah, we don't have taxes in the US. So I read recently, and tomorrow we are going to have a discussion about the Draghi's report. Yeah, I read recently the report presented by Mario Draghi talking about this, what are called competitiveness issues, yeah, that we have to address in Romania and not only in Europe, yeah. But again, we are in a different situation. We have a lot of money. What we need to improve is our capacity to deliver in terms of investments.
Okay.
And we also need to improve a little bit in terms of governance. We have too many institutions. Sometimes they don't have a very good coordination. We have an we have an energy regulatory body. In my view, not very active. We have to support, for example, because we are discussing about renewable and the potential of renewable, and the fact that renewable energy now is a good business. I mean, also in terms of cost. But in order for us to be able to install more renewable, we have to build networks, yeah, and it takes time, and we have to allocate money. In the coming days, we expect to have a new methodology taken into account for the approval of the tariffs for the distribution networks. Yeah. So I want to see more.
Can you feel that, Sebastian?
About what?
It's a mess. It's so complicated.
It's complex. Perhaps it's not a.
I'm hearing this and I'm phasing out. It's too complicated.
Georgia, is not complicated. What we have to do. We are in a better situation than many others. What we need is a plan, and we need coherence with the implementation of the plan.
Let's make it simple.
How do we make it simple? A simple plan.
So the simple plan is like that. We have billions, yeah? We stay on billions, non-refundable money. Let's allocate the billions that we have to make the networks better, yeah? To make the networks ready to install more renewable, to have more prosumers, yeah? Okay. If we use non-refundable money, it means that there is no impact on the tariffs paid by everyone, yeah. And then let's create a better environment where the investors can connect their new investments in power generation, and then we will have more generation, and we will have more competition. Then
in a secure way.
In a secure way, and we have better prices. Yeah. What we have been doing is to finance power generation while partially there is no need. We have just discussed that with batteries, it can be competitive. You have just said we have high energy prices. So technology, we have developments in terms of technology, good developments. Prices are going down. Of course, we have high electricity prices here, so it's a good environment to invest in power generation. Why should I give subsidies in such a context? I have to subsidize the networks, and I have to subsidize eventually the large consumers to become more efficient or to install their own production capacities. So this is not something, it's not a PhD thesis. There are 2-3 measures that have to be applied in a consistent manner. So it's...
Of course. So I'm going to give you my own example. If I take the easy way, if I make it as simple as possible, everyone who has a roof can make their own energy. If you have some PVs and a battery, you can make all your energy. But then you realize, like I did, that, okay, I'm going to install 25 kilowatt. I cannot consume all that, and I need to push it into the grid so I can help others or make some money out of it. I'm not making any important money out of it, but still, it's excess production that doesn't go anywhere if I don't put it into a grid. So if there's not a grid, someone who can make more energy cannot distribute it to anyone else. It's illegal to have wires from me to my neighbors.
Yep.
I cannot sell it.
It's regulated, yeah.
It's regulated, yeah. I need to push it into a grid and he can take it from there. So if I take this to scale, wherever I'm going to have solar plants or wind farms or anything, I need to take that energy and take it to another person. But coming back to the individual case. So again, ideally, everyone makes their own energy. Not very possible, not everywhere. So we need to have energy
Not everywhere,
flowing.
not everybody. Not everywhere and not everybody, because you need money for doing that, and you need to get the money from somewhere if you don't have it.
Yes.
As long as you have a financial system in the back, you can go to a bank in Europe and you say, okay, at low rate, you get 20K extra at the time you build your house, which is not really much compared to the value of the house. And you save, the electricity bill for ever, let's say. If you have that possibility, yes. If you don't have that possibility, you live in an extant house and you don't have the money in your pocket to invest in advance, you need to go to the market to find the money. If the market exists and can give you that money, perfect. If not...
Again, we could potentially... If we go crazy about it, everyone can make their own energy. But if we don't make it flow in between us, it's going to make life hard for many of us.
That's the beauty of the regulation. The regulation has to accept it. The regulation has to be put in place in favor to the people, not in favor to the,
Of course. Again, going back to scale, I visited a factory where they are prosumers. And they make most of their energy from solar panels, but they also work during the night. To have a big battery capacity over there, it could be complicated, so they need to work with the grid. Someone else needs to make that energy somewhere else. So we need to make it work for many, many different people in many, many places. From my understanding, solar panels plus batteries is the cheapest at this time. Why don't we take it to scale? And should we have all of us one battery in our homes, or should we have, let's say, community batteries or...
But it's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Where?
Everywhere. But it's starting at 11 cents that you mentioned before.
Not here.
Well, you need time to structure the things. You need time for the players to come into the game. You need time for the regulators to put the right regulation. We need to rebuild the thing. I mean, the world is not built for this to happen. We have a world running on the basis of thermal and hydro dispatch, mainly. And this is a completely different thing that has to be implemented. We can't expect this to happen overnight.
Of course. And change is not easy.
And the change and is complex even for the common people to understand what that it means to put, solar panels in my roof. And I mean, people, not everybody is into the energy industry. And,
of course.
And we can't accept that this is a common thing and a simple. No. It has its complexities, but it's not as complex as we can. It's not rocket science.
But why should we care? Because people are used that they plug something into the wall and they get electricity out of it. They turn on a faucet, water comes out. Everything is there. So why should I care about where my energy comes from and if I put solar panels or a battery inside my home? And take that to the community level. I've been talking about this and some people are responding. And I say, I would like to have a community battery that my community doesn't have blackouts. And I would like to have my, let's say, Primărie, my city hall, and my community invest in a community battery pack.
No, it has been happening. And answering to your question, why? Because, of course, at the end of the day, or at the end of the month, you get a bill, an electricity bill. If you produce your own electricity, you don't get that bill. or you get a bill with a small amount, not with a significant, with a huge discount. So at the end of the day, you have clear benefits. On top of this, we are talking about also the protection of the planet. Yeah, you have seen what happened a few days ago in Galați. Yeah, with a very big flood. Yeah,
everywhere
it happened 3 weeks ago in Vama Vecchia with the tornado. So we have also to take care of the planet, but before that, we have a direct incentive, and it's linked to the budget of the family.
It's a matter of the incentives. The places in the world that really work well are because they have the incentives well put where they have to be.
So you need to motivate people
and regulation is that. I mean, the regulators are responsible for putting the incentives where they have to be.
So what would you change? Looking at, I understand you've been talking about this, you understand Romania pretty well. One needs to change soon enough so we can make this happen. We have more energy, more sustainable energy, and also during a flood, most probably more people would have energy after a flood if they have their own solar panels and batteries, if they don't get flooded. If you put them high enough, you might still get your own energy when the grid fails.
So in terms of energy, we have today, I think, 1/3 of the energy mix coming from renewable sources.
Okay.
We are not the best in Europe or in the world, but we are, I mean, in the first probably quarter of the countries with a high percentage of renewable in the energy mix. In terms of electricity, even the situation is better. What we should do, again, in my view, networks. If we build networks, then we can have more electrical vehicles.
Who needs to do that?
The operators that have licenses. Yeah.
How do you make them do that? Because it's not profitable to make networks.
We can use a part of the non-refundable money. We can give, for example, an incentive for them. What is called co-finance. They put, for example, they get 80% or 70% non-refundable money, 30% they put their own money. We have an approved rate of rentability, approved by the regulator. We should give, for example, 10% and 20% more if you apply and make the investments in networks using EU money instead of using your own money. You give 10% more for the co-financing, so you make them using this opportunity, and then at the end of the day you decrease the bills because 80% it's not covered by the.
But it doesn't happen so quickly, so people will not see the incentive right away. That's a problem.
It doesn't happen quickly. What, the grid expansion, you say?
The grid expansion and the lowering the prices, because again, I'm looking at 2025. When the compensation scheme is going away and people will see very high bills. It's going to be scary for some people.
I think it's not. We should not be afraid of the market, and this is also a problem identified.
Do you know something about the future that I don't? Energy today is very expensive.
You know, my concern is that we in Europe, and this is a big difference between us and the Americans. We in Europe, we started less and less to believe in markets. And that's very risky. And we started to regulate. We have to believe in the market forces. We have to create a framework, and we have to let the market also work.
Do you believe energy is going to come down at least 50% in the next year?
Do you know what? Why does the Romanian state protect me and you?
You've been asking that, and nobody can answer.
I was in a big four company, so I had a very big revenue. So what did I ask for? Any support? Why do they support me? They should let me and let you and let everybody to pay the market price and to protect the poor people much more than they protect.
That's the incentive put in the right place, as I
So
said.
protect
When
the
you
poor.
subsidize everyone, I mean, I remember even at home in my country with the populist government for long term, decades not paying the electricity almost at all at home. I mean, $5 a month for, a house with everything, swimming pool, ACs. This is, and for subsidizing someone that has not to be subsidized.
Exactly.
So put the things
This is how
in
you
place.
build bad habits.
Imagine in the 2000, we started with 2003. We started with this kind of schemes in Argentina. I remember very well. I was 24 years old. And now we are 20 years after, still with subsidies that we cannot rid of. Of course, because it's embedded in the culture. So you had at the time a person that started, let's say a 20 years old guy, myself, that went out from my family house to live alone. I never paid the energy bill in my life. And now suddenly,
Yes.
you are telling these people, listen, you need to pay your energy bill. How? I mean, I understand I'm from the energy sector, but a doctor, an architect, whatever other kind of professions, say, no, energy is not something that we have to pay. So imagine what it means for these people that never pay the energy.
It's a
that suddenly
cultural switch.
It's the same with property tax. So they say if you don't know how much you're paying for property, it's not good.
I mean,
If you don't know what your electricity bill is, it's not real.
someone pays.
We all pay.
Exactly, we all
But
pay.
we don't know that. We can't see it immediately. And we talk about deficit, and Romania is...
Beautiful. I like it. I'm Argentinian. Deficit experts.
And now we have the guy coming with the chainsaw and fix it everything.
You know what deficit means? That you are a prisoner. That you are in a jail. And this is the problem of the crisis, back to the beginning of this conversation. And why is linked with the energy?
Yes.
Hello.
So all free lunches lead to jail.
Imagine what it means for someone that spend way more to what they receive, even yourself at home. If you spend way more compared to what you gain,
Yes.
how sustainable can
Please take my money. Take my money for my own energy, please, and start paying me also. I'm not getting my money as a prosumer, RânZVAN. What am I doing?
You should submit a request.
They sent me a bill telling me if I don't pay for the energy that I had to pay for the past month, they're going to cut me off, but they don't pay the energy I made since 2022.
That's not legal.
Of course it's not.
You have to signal it to the authorities.
Yes, I'm signaling it officially. But
My father was in a similar situation, but he was paid.
Pay me my money.
the system has to work? Otherwise, it's a non-trustful situation.
Of course.
Back again to what we said.
Of course.
We need to believe there's a confidence thing that has to be in place for the long term.
But there's also, again, like you said, it's a cultural thing. We have a cultural thing here where people expect that, okay, energy is not going to be on all the day, but it's going to be cheap. We need it so cheap. We need to start paying for it to see the real price. And you're so optimistic about the future of electricity prices that I cannot figure it out. How can you do that? Where do you get your information? Energy is expensive. Romania is not well connected to the Central and Western Europe in terms of energy.
This could be an advantage or a disadvantage.
And the Greeks are saying that even our consumption is making their prices go higher because it was cheaper there and they need to export to us whenever we need and from the market, and we are pushing the prices in the region up.
This is an analysis. I mean, it's a comprehensive analysis. I don't know if it is like that, because if we look at the statistical data, I think we are still a net exporter. But of course, probably during some period of the day, I mean, during the peak time, it could be a situation like that. But let's not forget that we have important investments which are not completed yet, and this is very bad. And
Give me some hope. I'm looking at Spain, and they're living on very cheap electricity, not like us.
Spain,
I live in Spain.
yeah, it's
How is
yeah,
it?
it's not like that. If you look at the Draghi's report, they have prices higher than us. Yeah.
Why? Because they're real.
Because I think it's
Since the war and the gas cut and everything related with the Russian gas. I mean, you know what that
and
means.
it's also a problem we have to learn from this Spanish and Portuguese example. We all have Spain, Portugal, and Romania. We all have large volumes traded via the day-ahead platforms. So we are all exposed to volatility. So we don't have long-term contracts, 1 year, 2 year. We go and we sell on the
market,
on the day ahead from today
tomorrow.
And today you can have very good prices. Tomorrow you can have. So we gamble too much. Yeah, for me,
because there's no incentive again to plan ahead. When you get a compensation scheme in Romania, they don't care where they get the energy from. More so, if they get expensive energy, all their taxes put on top is going to bring in more profits for the utilities. Is that not?
And I'm concerned about that because we are in a kind of vicious circle. Yeah, the state puts a lot of taxes. Yeah, at the same time they compensate everyone. No difference between rich and poor. No difference between the one asking and the one just getting without asking for any type of support. And at the same time, we have a lot of non-refundable money. We incentivize power generation, supporting some projects. However, I don't see the need for something like that. So we need to put things a little bit in order. And again, I'm saying it's important the institutions to work together. The independent energy, independent regulatory authority, they understand their independence.
You're being very diplomatic. I'm going to push you on this a little bit.
I like it.
Is there an incentive in the market to keep prices high?
It is a problem in the market, not an incentive in my view. We don't have enough market players. Exactly. We have a very big the day-ahead market.
So there's not enough competition.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's not a way. It's not that you have the incentive to, as you said. No,
you have a liability.
The answer is no. But the market is the market. It's not a simple thing. It's not just one actor. It's a multiple actors, multiple technologies, different sources.
Not so many. I'm looking at just a few utilities, and they look at the price ahead, and I say, 65 cents. Oh, on top of that, I'm going to make some sweet money.
Competition. You need to bring competition.
So those are private companies that look at the market and say, if the regulator lets me do it, I'm going to do it. It's not against the law to make money.
Exactly. And it's, in a private view, it's okay. The point is that it shouldn't be okay for the people.
Of course.
And you need to bring competition.
Exactly.
And this is what we've done in the example I told you. I mean, a market that was so close because of the lack of long-term, because of all the things that we said, that just a few players were hunting in the zoo.
Yes.
And we say, no. This should be a game for everybody.
I like this metaphor. So they're all hunting inside the zoo. We cannot leave. They're all hunting and they have big bellies, big fat cats. Can we agree on that?
Yes and no.
You're still being diplomatic. Come on.
No, I'm not. I'm not diplomatic. I'm realistic.
So we need more hunters inside the zoo.
We need
we need to open the zoo and not to have one.
Exactly.
Instead of hunters. Yeah. We don't need hunters. We need just open the thing.
Okay.
For example, we don't have in Romania still developed the aggregators that can aggregate the demand.
Of course.
You mentioned something about someone consuming, I don't know, with the factory during the peak time or during the night. I mean, we might be in a situation if there is a problem and if the prices are high during the night, they might change the behavior and work during the day instead of during the night. So there are many solutions.
We do not have night tariffs. 2024.
What I'm saying is, And again, I'm very tough with these people from the Energy Regulatory Authority because they are the best paid in Europe. In terms of
laziest.
The number, they are double, for example, in comparison with the Dutch Energy Regulatory Authority. What I want to see from them is that they are able to create a design for the zoo, design for the market, where we can have a real competition, where the investors can
incentives where they have to be put. But
when I built my home, I put inside the electricity thing wall box, I put in special switches for night tariffs. I never use those; they're brand new, untouched. I also made an upgrade to my, I put in some batteries and everything. And I have a big brain inside my network that can also talk to any grid, to any regulator, to any market and say, look, I have a frequency problem or a voltage problem. I would like you to push into the grid some energy during the night at this time, or during the day stop producing. And I cannot use that. Mm-hmm. So everyone who's installing solar panels now, the inverters and all the technology coming is so advanced. The same company that I bought my solar inverter from 7 years ago now is making a solar inverter with a battery controller. So everything is moving forward. And I also have smart meters for nothing. When I'm talking to the grid is stupid. It's dumb.
It's like a silly one.
It's silly. Same price, day and night, and I have no incentives to help the grid when it needs to. And I don't know if the grid fails, and I see that on my phone 3 times a day sometimes.
Because you are so advanced compared to the common people that the grid is not prepared for so advanced people.
I'm not the only one. There's more and more people. Few, but still.
Few.
If we combine the combined capacity from all prosumers that have batteries, they can become a plant. A virtual plant. And we have virtual plants in the US. Do we have any of those in Europe?
The distributor companies have, today they are experiencing a huge problem, which is that part of the cost of the infrastructure that they build, they own the wires, they own everything in the city, is variable, is put in the variable cost. Variable cost that is no longer be paid by you as a prosumer, because of course you are with all the installations that you have. So I'm not making any defense on the distribution companies. What I'm saying is a description of the reality. There is a huge transformation in the distribution companies, in the distribution systems, to tackle and absorb in a good way all these kind of things that you mentioned before, and this will not happen overnight at all.
But and it's what you can do, because you are an important influencer, George. We have 2 big problems here.
When I hear influencer, I go crazy. But okay.
How should I call you?
I don't know. A prosumer.
A prosumer. Okay.
An important prosumer.
An important
prosumer.
An influencer prosumer. So we don't pay. For example, if you are a consumer. If you have a certificate for consumer saying that you consume 500 megawatts hour per day,
Okay.
In reality, you consume only 5.
Yes.
But the grid is designed and maintained that you.
This is what I said before.
Availability for 500.
Exactly.
You have to pay if you want to keep. If you want to pay, if you want to keep this.
It's the same with the internet. And no matter how much I consume, I'm paying the price to have access to the network for a bandwidth.
But in internet is a minimum that you need anyway. Here is pretty much not even a minimum. You need to have the full size wire. At the time is cloudy and you don't have production and the battery is exhausted.
Of course. But it's similar with the water. If you want to have water, you need to have a minimum pressure and a minimum debit for your water. Also for internet, it's up to, but you need to be able to go up to.
But if it's too much at your disposal, and if you don't use it, and if you want to keep it, you have to pay for this capacity, because you create many troubles, and it is a capacity that you don't use. Second, we have to invest. So in networks, we have to invest.
Of course.
To avoid blackouts, as you said. You wanna turn on the switch and have the light no matter anything, right? That's
yes.
As a consumer, you say, okay, I pay.
You don't
pay
care.
taxes,
I just want my lights on.
I don't care. The whole system has to be prepared for this and for the transformation of this.
Yes.
You want to put another layer of complexity, electric vehicles in your garage, in your parking. You're going to have 23 hours out of the 24 hours because you use a car 1 hour maximum to come to the office and go back, and that's it. 23 hours a day, you will have a battery interacting with the grid. Let's put another layer of complexity on top of this, right?
But still, with technology, we can make everything happen. Can we agree? If you use energy and batteries and a little bit of technology, you can make everything work. So let's go look a little bit into the future. Two smart energy guys, some of the smartest I know. How would you make things work for everyone if you had all the tools at your disposal, or the regulator bodies would be listening? How would you make it work for everyone, let's say in the next decade?
Bringing competition, opening the markets, allowing the right incentives to play their game in a most efficient way. And
give me examples. Look at Romania and say, what should you actually do?
Let me give you the example I was part of when I was in the government as a minister there in the government of Argentina. We didn't have the incentives, so renewables were not possible in a country that had the perhaps best resource in the world. How was that possible? Okay, you need to build long term. No. Renewables are very expensive because I can't put my money for the 20 years game. Because I don't know who's going to come after five times, as we said. Okay, put it anyway. If I put it anyway, this is expensive. How is that possible? I need to receive my money back in a year, in 2 years. Maximum in 4 years. Because I know the guy that is now managing the executive branch, and I trust him. I don't trust the one I don't know who's going to come. Perfect. So a 25 years infrastructure in 4 years has to be payback. Renewables are super expensive.
Of course.
Of course, in this game that is not well...
Okay, so long-term investments.
Right incentives for long-term investment for competitive market.
What do you mean by competitive market?
That you that you don't have a zoo anymore. Rather than that, you open the doors for the investors to come from all over the world to Romania.
How do they know where and what to invest?
Because you, as a policy maker, you open a right program and you invite actively the investors to come and invest long-term in Romania because the investment is protected. If there is a feeling, and we act in my organization in different markets around the world, and I would say the common feeling is that in complex markets, only locals can play the game. A zoo. Hunting, there. We need to stop this. Of course, locals are important, but are not the only one that can, and will not be the one that can make the things happen.
How do we open the market more? Because for utilities, for distributori, we have natural monopolies.
Investment.
Yes, we have monopolies over the wires. But then for making energy, we have an open market, I guess.
Open
Is
market.
It open?
Yeah.
Can anyone come in and make energy in Romania, make a energy
If you go
plant?
for a tender in wind and you open that tender and you invite everyone in the world to come and invest in wind farms in a country, in Romania or in Argentina or wherever, it's open. But it's not going to be open if the feeling is that only locals can deal with it.
Regulators and the bureaucracy.
Or that you don't keep the word, your word on the long term. A promise is a promise. You have to respect it. So the word, it's more detrimental to change something than to respect the promise. Even if the deal with or a promise made to an investor, maybe it's not. After years, you conclude that it's not so good.
Don't change the rules.
Don't change the rules. So it's worse to change the rule on that particular case on a long-term basis, it's much worse because then...
Of course, I understand that.
Change the rules for the future things that you're going to do, but not for the past ones.
Exactly.
Okay, so
if you need to.
Let's use the money to make better networks. But again, if we can make better networks, but we still need more energy. How do you make the market more competitive? How do you bring in more competitors into this market to create more energy in Romania?
Have 40,000 pipeline in wind and PV.
40,000
megawatt pipeline. So what do you want more? So we need to install some batteries, and we have money in terms of networks. Here I see the biggest problem, and I insist with this problem. But again,
so I discussed
yesterday with a good friend of mine who used to be the Polish Minister of Economy. He said to me, "I would love to have the problems that you have in Romania. I would love Poland to have your problems."
They rely heavily on coal.
They are in a much more difficult situation. We have. It's not perfect. It's as he said, it's not Germany. However, in terms of energy, Germany, it is and it is not an example. But in terms of organization, we are not like Germany. But it's not a disaster. There are a couple of things to put it in the right order, and to use what we have. We have here, again, money. We have a huge tradition, in this sector.
In transport, yes. We export power lines and all that.
No, but it is Bucharest was the first capital city in the world with public lighting. We were the first building a refinery. We were the first recorded officially with an oil production. And we still have oil production, gas production. We have almost a complete nuclear fuel cycle. So there is a clear trend.
Let's go into the near future.
The biggest wind farms in Europe onshore are built here.
Okay, so more wind farms than what we have now are coming online?
Definitely. More wind, more PV.
Tell me some regions. Give me some places to look at.
For me, the biggest potential which is not exploited is the Black Sea. Okay. Of course, now there is the bloody war in the Black Sea, but there is an important potential of Romania. There is an important potential of the Ukraine. There is an important potential of Bulgaria.
So there's a Black Sea for wind.
Yeah, but there are projects ongoing Black Sea. There are projects ongoing wind onshore. Yeah, and they are going to be ready. They are going to be ready.
Dobroja, Baragan.
Dobroja, Banat. Yeah, there are many areas with good wind potential. Yeah.
Okay.
PV very good. Yeah.
All the southern
with a very big pipeline. Yeah.
Okay.
With batteries, I think we are on a good track. Yeah. Also in terms, we are among the few European countries with their own capacity to produce batteries. So not only to install.
Is it coming online? Is it already producing?
It is online, a part of the factory, and another part is going to be online soon in the next months. So again, I see more opportunities than problems or liabilities.
Yes, but people in 2025 will see very high bills, and they're going to get scared about electricity and energy.
I'm not so sure that they will see.
What can fundamentally change in the next 6 months?
It could change the demand. It could change the production. It could change the regional context. Yeah, maybe this war is going to be completed.
You are very optimistic.
We should be optimistic.
We should be, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a way, yeah.
Otherwise,
in terms of the war, we should be. There's no
in terms
other
of the war,
chance.
yes, but energy consumption will still arise unless the economic situation is gonna
will arise. You know why?
Will
arise, and it will arise in the entire Europe, in the United States, in South America. It will arise big time due to the artificial intelligence. The databases are going to consume a lot. So it will arise, but at the same time, we have a huge pipeline of projects. If you look at the European statistics, we are the country in the EU with only 2-3 years required to get approvals for a wind or PV project. In Spain, how many years do you need? 9, 10, 8, yeah. So 3 times more. So the bureaucracy in terms of approval is less here than in many other countries.
But still, I understand that. But still, I'm hearing from the industry, from people that are trying to make solar plants or whatnot, that you cannot actually know where the demand is. There is not, let's say, like a heat map. Look, I would need some capacity here and some capacity here. Maybe you could put a plant to consume some excess energy over here. So you talk to the business sector and you say, guys, if you come here, there's business to do. If you want to make energy, this is where I need some more energy, and this is, you can consume some energy if you need to. Do we have a map like that?
Map on?
A map on energy needs and opportunities.
Yeah, in terms of consumption, there is a forecast, and there are tools to make the forecast. Where it's consumed, the electron, of course, this is up to the development of the network. But in terms of how much we need, this is something that we know, and it's the
big
the
picture, yes. But small picture, let's say regional, we don't know for sure how much energy do we need, let's say, I don't know, in Oradea or Brașov.
But why do you need
maybe we can make a plant
They
there.
need the guys with the networks. They need to know how much we consume in Oradea. Because you can produce in Bucharest and you can deliver to Oradea via the network. Or even
but is it good business to make it here and sell it there?
You don't need to consume that electron that is produced in Bucharest. So it doesn't matter where it's produced. It's important to be able to cover your needs.
Okay.
And again, without being perfect, I think the investments in the power generation are good, with good returns.
Okay.
So I know from my family's example, my family invested, in PV. So the family was able to recover the investment in 4 years and a half. What do you need more than that?
It's a good investment.
It's a very good investment.
Let's go a little bit into the AI. I'm not going to keep you for too long. This is a very nice conversation, and we've been going over the time limit that you set. So I'm grateful for this. But if we're talking about artificial intelligence, I'm hearing from the industry that there is not enough energy in the world for the needs of artificial intelligence.
The needs are, it's a subjective also statement, right?
No. They are talking about making nuclear plants specifically for
plants,
data centers.
Yeah. There are a lot of new demand will come. Yes, definitely.
So I'm hearing that NVIDIA is close to be producing most of the chips needed to train the next frontier models. The only limitation will be who's going to get access to enough electricity. And now the United States are talking about making special partnerships with Canada so they can put enough energy into training frontier models, the new godlike AIs. So how can you forecast for such high demand when you talk about countries coming together to put enough energy, enough terawatts, I don't know, into this?
It's a matter of how to plan it, right? I mean, if you plan it in the right way, I mean, what you can't do is to allow a sector to demand things that are not being supplied. Because you have problems when you have that. When you have a sector that will demand something that nobody is providing, things happen in the less effective way. So if you really want to have this, what you have to do is to allow the providers, the suppliers, to be prepared for doing that. How? To act in an efficient way, in a competitive way, with the right incentives. Back to what we have said.
So they're just looking at the market. Today I need more energy because there's some demand. But the demand for artificial intelligence is going to go through the roof. And I believe...
And fast. And it's going to happen quite fast, I would say.
The speed is the problem.
Exactly.
So how do you tackle this? Because I'm hearing from a guy installing such a data center in Romania that's going to go online pretty soon, but it's only the first one. So we are lagging behind in everything, but we're going to come up to speed. So it's going to be like when everyone was mining Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything.
Same, right?
But worse.
Data center. Well, in that sense, it was important, but it was not as important as the artificial intelligence will be. So knowing that the demand will be in that sector, that we will demand a lot of new energy that we are not demanding today, we need to plan the supply to go for that demand in the most effective way. You say, no, they will buy nuclear. How long does it take to build a nuclear power plant?
A decade.
And the regulations and the permits and the environmental constraints and a decade. And a decade is not going to happen in the demand side on the artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Renewables are super easy to install, are super modular. You can install in 18 months, in 15 months, with capacity from batteries, at the same time that the technology is going down. So, in my view, there's no other way to tackle this situation.
If it's a question of speed, only renewables can fix it.
Is the most effective to tackle that situation? Yes, definitely.
And
combined with the restrictions and batteries, of course, but combined with the restrictions on gas in Europe. Do you want to talk about gas in Europe with a massive problem that we are facing today? Listen, I did my master in renewables a couple of decades ago here in Europe.
Okay.
At that time, I remember my teachers, the lecturers, my professors speaking about the needs of Europe to rid of gas from Russia. 2 decades ago.
Yes.
And I remember I was a kid being in the front of a guy telling me this for energy independency and geopolitics and hello, 2024.
Yes.
Who was the real behind the war that we have?
The Germans got a little bit lazy on this, but they knew it was a problem. And this is how actually...
And they didn't care.
But they didn't care for a long time because they got to rely on the cheap gas from Russia.
That's the problem.
That's it. Exactly. Cheap.
Careful when you only seek cheap stuff.
Yes, there's a price. Everything cheap has a price.
Careful.
But
don't rely. And my experience, even in what I've done in Argentina, is that you should never rely in just one supplier. Listen, as soon as I took office, when you take office, everybody, the CEOs of most of the large companies in the world and even other governments approach you to help you fix the problem, to save you. We receive offers. We wanted to install 10 gigawatts capacity in renewables, a lot of energy in a complex market. And we receive, I would say, a lot of people coming from all over saying, don't worry, give me everything, I build the 10 gigawatts for you. Are you gonna give the sovereignty of your Ministry of Energy to
I know who that was. That was the Chinese.
Not really. Not really.
No?
Not really. People from Middle East.
Oh, okay.
Large companies, people from New York coming saying, give me your country and I save your country, basically.
I've read that book.
Careful.
The Memories of an Economical Assessor.
And you know what we've done instead of that? We said, no way, we're going to create a program that will allow investors from all over the world to participate. Okay. Because when you have a problem, you don't want to have one person to deal with that problem.
Yes.
The more you have, the better it will be for the benefit of the people that you represent when you are in government.
But I'm going to come back to the AI issue just a little bit. You're talking to a lot of intelligent people, and I'm sure it's a topic that comes around. Is there anything that AI can do to improve the way we create, we produce, we transport, and we use energy? After we are going to expend a lot of energy to create this godlike AI, can it help us solve our energy issues?
It's like creating the machine to create machines, right?
Exactly.
Yes, of course. Yes, AI will be everywhere. Everywhere, even in grid optimization.
Solve energy?
Solve is not a word because nobody individually will do anything by its own, but will improve the things. AI will be in grid optimization. AI will be in every single process of a wind farm, manufacturing technology, manufacturing facility. Will be everywhere. You're going to go to the doctor and the doctor doesn't know as much as AI will know about your problem.
It's happening today.
And it's happening today. And listen, yesterday I have a very good friend of mine that sent me something, say, Seba, look at this. I mean, I wrote a paper, I put in AA, and I said, with this paper that I wrote, create a podcast on two persons that don't exist.
Notebook LM from Google. That's the thing.
And it's happening. And if you put a recording of your voice, one of the guys in the podcast is you.
Yes.
And this is today. It's not.
Yeah, we are old school here. Humans, no technology yet, just on the recording side.
So fast answer, yes, it will be everywhere. But just because of this will not solve anything by its own.
So once we
you are going, George, to have an IT doing the show instead of you, and you go with Sebastian to Barbados to help them to become energy independent.
I have the same issue like the Manele singers. I cannot put someone in my place. They need me to sing. No, I really think we need human connection. So from my job, I'm safe. But coming back to energy. I can
Everybody want to be safe, right? Of the new things that are known things.
As long as I'm still relevant, I'm going to be around. Coming back to energy, two more questions and you're free. Is there a future where instead of having the energy fluctuate like this with the AI, can we have 230 volt all the time, 50 hertz, no matter what? So it's going to be perfect energy?
No. The fast answer is it's not because of AI. Not because of this. This helps. This will help dealing with the grids. It is already happening today. And imagine what is going to come.
The Megapex in Australia fixed a very big issue over there. Not many people know they had very, very big fluctuations.
To have flat, I think it's impossible. But to have less peak consumption, this is possible.
Exactly. To better manage the grids, to better manage the processes, yes. To have it done just because of this, I don't see it.
Because the biggest problem, from my understanding now, again, not many people understand that all the energy we consume now is being produced now.
Exactly.
There is no delay unless you put in batteries. And final question, one of the myths going around is that, come on, those EVs, there is not enough energy or enough capacity into the grid if we all switch to electric.
Again, this is a phrase that does not belong to me, but to a colleague of mine.
Okay.
That is, the future of energy is electrical, and the future of electricity will be renewables. And I'm sure about that. It's not a matter of how, if you believe or do not believe. As long as you can build the infrastructure, the right infrastructure in the right way with the right incentives, you can do that. If you don't have the infrastructure, you will not have your EVs and all the things around that. Absolutely.
But can you see a world where we all have electric vehicles and we can all charge at home or at work or anywhere?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can I can go even beyond.
What is the cost for that? Because people are saying, you're crazy with those EVs.
It's like the cell phone.
You're going to spend so much money to be able to charge all those crazy EVs everywhere.
But listen, it's like a cell phone in the 2000s or even before, in the 90s. We remember, I mean, we are super young, but we remember. In the 90s, pretty much nobody
had a smartphone.
Had a smartphone. And say, can you believe that everybody in the world will have a smartphone, blah, blah, blah?
And networks and antennas everywhere.
And this was yesterday. We are here with a super powerful computer in our hands. It's going to happen in the same way. Because the technology is there. It's not that we need to...
And if you, for example, if you use the battery from your iPhone in your electrical vehicle, if you put the same quality of battery, you can have an autonomy of minimum 1,000 kilometers.
It's true.
Of course, it
could
be expensive, but the technology is...
It's not that expensive as you might think. CATL is doing this special project with Zeekr. They have this car that goes, and also NIO. beyond 1,000 kilometers. But the question is, do you actually need it?
You don't need.
No.
It's just another myth, another goalpost.
And I go even beyond, if you allow me to do it. Is there any sense, I mean, makes sense to have 23 hours out of the 24 hours your car parked in a place? From the economic perspective, from the financial perspective, it makes no sense.
When we're going to have all AIs,
Why do you
it's
wanna
going to
have-
optimize everything. Is going to ask you, why are you so stupid? Why do you keep a car parked 90% of the time?
$30,000 in your parking, 23 out
wasting
of 24
money.
hours. So what's the percentage of the use of that money?
I would like to have like a dashboard with small clocks that show you how much money you are wasting with all the pieces of technology and products and consumers.
And this for what?
Man.
Just because you want to be seated in your seat, in your car, touching your... Come on.
Yeah,
So
but
may I also give you
Please.
a fresh news? So 2 Romanian companies, Prime Batteries Technology and another company, Simtel, installed a battery in Prodromul monastery on the Athos mountain. So even
I heard something about that. In the monastery. Not many people know those
in Greece,
monks.
there is a, you know,
Those monks
that
are
isolated
Facility.
are big on energy. The monks are big on energy.
so it's even the
What capacity?
I don't know.
Beautiful. Everybody will be into this. No doubts. As we have everybody.
Even the most
as one of
traditional monasteries.
So I've been talking to someone who was there, and there was this monk, that priest, and said, you're working on batteries. Okay, can I help? And he brought his own tool case. And when he opened it, this guy said, we don't have these tools. Where did you get those? Because those are great. So they know their stuff.
Like a super professional.
They're super professional, exactly. Again, very good talk. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for inviting us.
For inviting.
Mulțumesc, Răzvan Nicolescu. Thank you for bringing in Sebastian Kind, a true Romanian, talking English with a Spanish accent coming from Argentina. And we're trying to bring some of your knowledge over here. Maybe we can fix those inflated electricity bills from 2025.
Thank you very much.
I hope so. Thank you everyone for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye.